The month of December is the worst month to be an artist. Every cookie becomes a reference, every decoration turns into a project, and suddenly everyone expects a handmade gift from you. In this video, we'll be talking about what it is like to be an artist during the holidays. Let's go! Oh yes, December art tropes. It's like the art community has a secret unspoken agreement that every year we just copy paste the same exact vibes. And we all participate willingly. So here's a list of some of the most common tropes that you have all done at least once, literally, don't lie to me. I swear, every year we all turn into one giant hive mind. Suddenly, without talking to each other, we just all decide, yes, hot cocoa pose. It's time. You open your sketchbook and before you even think, your hand automatically draws a character hugging a mug, like it's their emotional support cup. Same sweater, same cozy pose, same steam lines. The whole thing looks like a Hallmark movie poster. And you're sitting there pretending it's a new idea, wow, look at me being so creative. Yeah. Someone's a bit delusional. And when you don't know what to do with the hands, candy cane. Just candy cane. You could be drawing a warrior from a dystopian sci-fi world, and the second it's December, they are legally obligated to hold a striped sugar weapon. And suddenly every piece you make looks like a candy cane sponsorship. At some point you're pretty sure you smell peppermint in your room and you haven't even opened one. That's crazy. Then because your drawings still feel empty, your brain hits you with the December special. Adding the sparkles, random sparkles in the air, sparkles in the clothes, sparkles on the eyes, sparkles on sparkles. Everything is sparkling and none of it makes any sense. You're basically just fixing the drawing by distracting everyone with the shiny. And then the Santa hat curse kicks in. You know you're gonna draw at least one Santa hat, but the problem is you don't stop at one. Your OCs aren't even OCs anymore. They're unpaid mall Santa employees. And why do we all spend so long rendering that fluffy white poof ball? It's like the poof ball is suddenly the main character of the piece. It doesn't make any sense. Then comes the Christmas lights. Oh yeah, your brain convinces you that wrapping your character in a whole string of lights is a cute idea. And it is cute until you're coloring them. Suddenly you're doing reflections, glows, highlights, shadows, secondary shadows. They're more high maintenance than your entire friend group. And for some reason you draw 80 of them. Every year you swear you won't do it again, and then December rolls around and you become a walking Pinterest board. Yeah, we can't help it. Speaking of regret, let's address the snow. Because you tell yourself, I'll just add some snow for atmosphere, and the next thing you know, you've created the most suspicious moldy looking snow in existence. What does it look green? What does it look like it's been sitting in someone's freezer for 6 years? What does it look moist? You keep adding little dots to fix it and it only gets worse. And you keep trying because you're committed to the chaos now. Alright, vent over. These are just some of the tropes, but there's definitely more. But I just thought I would save you from the horrors this time. And then there's the annual tradition. My family tried to get me supplies, but somehow failed spectacularly. You make a simple, specific list with links, pictures, the works. Easy right, wrong. For some reason, it doesn't help them. You ask for 1 pack of Copics, and literally everybody knows what supplies I'm talking about here. And you get Copics, ultra creative colors. Markers that smell like chemicals, dried after 1 stroke, and then have caps that refuse to click. Perfect. That's totally fine. Or you ask for a nice sketchbook. You get the glitter journal with paper so thin it crumbles if you look at it wrong. And a unicorn on the cover that screams, "Create your dreams." And then there's the big art kit, which I've already talked about before, by the way, so go check out this video if you want to hear more about that. A giant suitcase of crayons, markers, pastels, paints, literally anything you can think of. It looks fancy, but the quality is just straight up awful. And you smile and you thank them, and you secretly plan to donate half of it to charity, which is good, by the way, so please do that. Sometimes they try to be quirky socks that say eat, sleep, draw, mugs shaped like paint buckets, even children's watercolor set. You love them, you just also hate them a little. And the best part, they watch you open it with pride, like they've given you keys to an art museum or something. Meanwhile, you know you're just going to order the real supplies online later. Artist's life stops for no one. But to be fair, we can't judge the gifts we receive too harshly since we struggle with the gifts we give also. Because obviously we're broke artists, so naturally we turn the one thing we always have too much of: old, unused art supplies, brushes we never liked, half-empty markers, that watercolor palette we bought on a whim in 2019. It's all suddenly a thoughtful gift to a friend. This only really works if your friend is also an artist. Like, they open it and suddenly it's like you handed them a treasure chest. Like, OMG, thank you, I'll definitely use these. They get it, they understand the chaos, and they very much appreciate it. And all you little art kids listening to this, please keep those kind of friends close. But you give the same gift to a normie friend, that's a disaster. They stare at your crusty Crayola set like you just dropped a dead bird at their feet. Confusion, horror, slight pity, I guess. And you just stand there smiling awkwardly thinking like, yeah, this counts a gift, maybe. But honestly, deep down you're proud, because nothing says holiday spirit like turning your old scraps into treasures and pretending it was intentional all along. And of course, being broke and overwhelmed, we also leave all the actual gift making to the last possible second. December 23rd hits and suddenly you're speed painting, sketching, gluing, and crafting like your life depends on it. And it actually kinda does, or at least your reputation does. Your desk is covered in paper scraps, dried paint and glitter that will haunt you until like July. You're using every tool you own, fighting cramps and questioning all your life choices. But somehow, miraculously, a few finished pieces emerge, each slightly chaotic, slightly warped, but full of love. And you give them to your friends or family who smile and say, wow, thank you. Meanwhile, you know the truth. You just poured hours of panic and exhaustion into something that looks way too good for the time you actually had. It's all part of the process. But something that should not be part of the process, yet sadly always is, happens when you decide to make a few Christmas cards for your closest friends and family. And you think, okay, just a few cards, something small and personal. Nothing can go wrong. Then the word gets out. Somehow everyone finds out you're making cards, and the artist rumor mill works fast. And suddenly you're summoning a crowd. Cousins, old classmates, that friend you only vaguely know from an art camp, all demanding free Christmas cards from you. You try to say no, you try to pace yourself, but no, you're trapped. You're mass producing cards at lightning speed, carefully hand painting each one while wondering why you thought this was actually a good idea. By the time you're done, your desk is buried under watercolor paper, ink stains, scraps, glitter, and more stress than caffeine can fix. And all you wanted was to make a few thoughtful cards. Welcome to December as an artist. Chaos, glitter, and unending sense of obligation. Then there's that phase every artist enters in December where we suddenly become master crafters. Like out of nowhere you're cutting paper snowflakes with the dedication of a surgeon. One wrong snip and the whole thing like collapses into whatever that shape was supposed to be. But when it works, oh, it works. You hold it up like, behold my frosty masterpiece. And then you make 10 more. Actually 12 more. And suddenly your entire room looks like a Frozen but with more glitter and regret. And don't even get me started on the gift wrapping obsession. Artists don't just wrap gifts, we create entire expeditions. Perfect folds, coordinated color palettes, tiny hand-drawn name tags, bows that look like they were engineered by NASA. Meanwhile, the gift inside is like a pair of socks because you're broke. Or those already used art supplies that we talked about earlier. But the outside screams, I have my life together, even though you absolutely do not, let's be honest. And because artists can't stop at just snowflakes and wrapping paper, here come the other craft disasters. Suddenly you're making handmade ornaments out of clay, painting pine cones like they're rare artifacts, crocheting things you don't even know how to pronounce, hot gluing ribbons to everything inside, and turning toilet paper rolls into festive decor. Your entire house becomes a crafting war zone. There's glitter in your hair, glue on your sleeves, scissors somewhere under the pile of ribbon, and a mysterious half-finished craft you have no memories of starting. But hey, it's Christmas. This is what we do. It all starts with cookies. You walk past the holiday tray, and suddenly your brain activates in full artist mode. Post reference, color palette, character design, A simple gingerbread man is now a study in anatomy, shading, and highlight placement. You try to decorate one cookie casually. 5 minutes later, you're piping icing like Michelangelo with a frosting bag, adding sprinkles for shading, and maybe even whispering motivational words to it. And your whole family is just like staring at you, confused. And you're like, yeah, this is just research. And of course, at some point, you eat your reference. It's fine. It's totally fine. Research. Yum yum. And of course, because decorating cookies wasn't enough, now it is time for the big boy project. The gingerbread house. Suddenly you're an architect, an engineer, and a structural engineer all at once. You mix royal icing like cement, fight collapsing walls, and try to balance candy shingles like they're high art. You just cannot stop creating. Your artistic mind is way too deep in this delicious project. Every candy piece becomes a design decision. Every sprinkle a highlight. Somehow the house becomes this chaotic masterpiece that smells like sugar and disaster all at once. By the time you finish, glitter and icing are everywhere. On the roof, on the walls, in your hair, and probably in your water glass. But of course, you are very proud of your own little creation. And also happy. Until your little baby cousin comes and smashes the entire house. Yeah. And that's it, the full chaotic experience of being an artist in December. If you relate to even one of these, tell me in the comments which one hit you the hardest. I want to know that I'm not suffering alone, you know. Happy December and Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrated, and good luck surviving the rest of the holiday chaos. And here's another video for you to watch in case you want to see more of this kind of stuff. See you in the next video. Bye bye.